What's going on, guys? Welcome to the podcast. My name is Kenta, and today I'm joined with my good friend, my brother, Philip Kwan. He's a chef, a business owner,
Woo.
and many other things, but we're going to just, ask some questions, find out about each other, and, have some fun here. So to get it started, I just wanted to ask you, Phil, is like, let's bring it all the way back, dude. Like, I know your story, but for the people that are, so for people that are watching, listening, tell us about, like, how it all began as far as like the business and how you got into chefing and all that kind of stuff in the beginning.
Sure. Well, our first business my first business that I started was with my fiancée, Candace.
Mm-hmm.
She went to school for fine arts and photography, digital media. And so we started a photography business originally because that was a form of expression that we both enjoyed, the art of that and seeing life through our lens and showing our perspective.
Yeah.
We kind of got into that for a little bit and started realizing that the art aspect disappeared when you were just taking family portraits, wedding photos, or those things. And you can be artistic in that way, but it wasn't really like what drew us to that art. So for a while, we were kind of just bopping around, trying to figure it out. And I kind of got in this funk where I didn't know what I wanted to do anymore. I was just kind of down and watching a lot of TV, watching a lot of Netflix. And at the time, there was a lot of chef shows like Chef's Table or I can't name them all. There's a lot of great media and content on like chefs, and actually both my grandparents from both sides of my family came to America and opened restaurants. Spent a lot of my childhood doing homework in the booths of restaurants, falling asleep, taking naps, playing in my booth with my toys. So, in and out of the kitchen, shopping with my grandma at the big Chinese Costco's. And so and food had always been the center point of, our family's connection, gathering around dinner tables. And, the meals, an everyday meal is like a 7-course meal. There's a soup, there's a fish, there's other proteins, there's veggies, like just full on meals. And so that was where I've experienced a lot of love in my life. A lot of connection to the people I loved. And so food was always the center point. And then I guess I followed that feeling into, well, you know what? Like, I don't know what I'm going to do right now. Let's take a leap into something, take one step in one direction. And so I was like, you know what, Candace is my fiance. You know her. And for the viewers, the hopeful viewers, she's like, yeah, I encourage it. Why don't you go look for a job? So I'm driving around and I, apply to a few places. I end up at this restaurant that's like opening a new spot. So go in with zero experience, tell them my story. Same thing. I don't know much about food besides I really enjoy eating it. And I really have a passion for food and good food. And I learn quick, and I will try my best here and to do my best. And so they gave me a shot. It was at a restaurant called Soul Sausage. They won the Great Food Truck Race, and their food truck turned brick and mortar, turned like full bar and restaurant. So I was going to work at the bar and restaurant. Really cool people, really amazing first time experience in a kitchen. And from there, just kind of wanted to broaden my wheelhouse of food and learn more. And so just bopped around different kitchens for a while. And that's kind of where it began.
So now you're running, your own food business. And so from that point when you were working as a chef, how did it transition into you partnering up with your fiance and basically building this from the ground up? Like, what did that look like?
So that came from another crossroads that appeared in my life, similarly to photography or something in the unknown.
Okay.
The second crossroads here now that I'm experiencing is, okay, I'll back up a little bit. The idea behind like getting into food was, if I learn how to cook, if I learn how to learn some kitchen skills, at the very least, I'll be a great chef for my family and future kids.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win. Fast forward to this first crossroads, and and I also was thinking, if I learn how to cook, I can go travel the world, get jobs at different restaurants,
right?
And use that as there's cooks are needed everywhere.
Right.
Pay's not the best, but it's a skill that a lot of places are seeking, right? Like a good, solid. So I get to a point, I didn't end up doing the traveling thing, at least in this stage of my life yet. We did do some traveling, but we get to another crossroads where, okay, I've been in a lot of restaurants. I've worked my way up the ranks a little bit in certain ones and felt that I wasn't being heard anymore. I couldn't make a change. I didn't find the mentor or the teacher that was going to take me under his wing, his or her wing. And really like, I was looking for that. I was looking for this compassionate knowledge of wealth in the food that would just like be able to take me to the next level.
Right.
And not at that age, I didn't know that like I just had to be that for myself. So it came to a breaking point where I was like, okay, like we have a talented batch of chefs here, but the owner doesn't want to make a change. He's happy, he's comfortable, he's busy with his own life. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I can't help here anymore, at least in the way that I want. So I was like, okay, well, so we did some research. We were like popping around all these like markets, all these festivals, and just kind of like observing how it was, how people executed that.
Yeah.
I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
We could think of our own concept, think of our own creative flair to our own voice in food. Right. And at that time, we had just got back from our travels in Southeast Asia, which is, there's the culture steeped in like Buddhism in the Southeast Asian cultures, right? So a lot of compassion for animals and not eating or causing harm. And so like we're eating a lot of vegetarian, vegan food during our travels. And then the place I had just left was a vegan fine dining restaurant. Yeah. And so we get back and I'm like, well, there's no vegan Asian food that speaks to me, that speaks to my flavor profile, my love for food that came from my grandparents and my ancestry. So let's try to infuse some of that flavor and love into the food we are doing. Yeah. So the idea spawned. This is getting kind of long-winded, but we go to a music festival, do a bunch of psychedelics. Sure. On the way back, Candace and I are driving home and just like bouncing, ping-ponging like names and ideas and what this like. We're like getting excited. We're like we're both about to quit our jobs, about to like jump into the next void, and just trust fully what's gonna happen is good, because the feeling behind it felt so good, right? Like when it feels good, like you just know. And we're really, even now, just like remembering that's the thing that needs to guide us, is that like good, tangible feeling. Yeah. So we were feeling high, feeling good. Well, we were high, then feeling high, but so really high, and then made the choice to just do our own pop-up. And that's kind of how it all started. We just
That's awesome.
popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So taking a second there and kind of going back to that feeling, because I'm sure there's not only people that are going after this in the food industry, but like different, ventures, entrepreneurship, and having that feeling of like almost like jumping off a cliff, like not knowing what's down there, what's up there, whatever, what's on the other side of this. Yeah. And so going back to that, were you like, I mean, I don't know, I guess from like a place of like financially, were you in a place where you're like, this is scary, or had you saved up enough money where you're like, you know what, if things don't really work out, quite as planned, I'll be okay and I can go back to chefing? Or like, what was like, that process looking like in that moment for you, like?
Yeah, well, luckily at that point in my life, we had just gotten back from traveling.
Right.
Before traveling, we Candace and I sold everything we owned. Okay. Basically boxed it all up into a few boxes and a backpack, and we left for 5 months, backpacked, and when we spent all our money that we had saved up from a summer of working in Alaska.
Okay.
We spent all our money. We were like pretty much down to, nothing. Come back, go to that festival.
Yeah.
And luckily at that time we had the support of my family. Okay. So I was staying in my room. Candace was staying in my childhood room.
Okay.
And we had that safety net of not needing to pay rent. Food is there.
Okay.
So we were blessed to have that to take the leap, and I'm so grateful to my parents for that, because not everyone has that.
Right.
But we didn't really have any money. All we had was each other and our families and the support of our families, and that was like enough to brave the unknown.
Okay. And so it kind of sounds like you were getting scrappy, right? You were getting scrappy, like you're making things work,
totally.
Right? So how did you what did the first pop-ups how did it start, and how did you start building from there? Like, how did you know what I mean?
Totally.
Start stacking it up, basically.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we were feeling scrappy because, for one, being in your late 20s and living with mom is never fun.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other people who can relate to that, but it's like, man, I'm getting in fights about my socks being on the floor or I'm not a man here. I don't feel like a man here. Right. I still feel like a kid. My childhood traumas are getting re-triggered, and then how can I be a man to this woman who I'm trying to grow a life with when we're living at mom and dad's house? At least in my mind, I'm sure you can, but for me, it just wasn't working. So we had to get scrappy. First pop-up, super minimal, created a menu, created the idea, and we didn't even have licenses. We just talked to a brewery and popped up at a brewery. Awesome. That gave us a shot. Shout out to Cosmic Brewery.
Cosmic Brewery. Okay.
They're not there anymore, but
okay.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them.
And they gave us our first shot, and then from there, kind of word of mouth allowed us to expand our menu. Yeah. We had a couple friends help us. Part-time here and there when we needed extra hands. But Candace and I were doing all the prep, setting it all up, breaking it all down, going home, washing the dishes in my parents' little sink. It's a lot of dishes to wash in a little sink.
That's crazy.
Big pots and pans. And we did that for, months, and that was not fun. And we just, from there, looked at the inefficiencies, and just tried to get better.
Yeah.
And in the process of wanting to get better, the business just organically grew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And so what would you say was the biggest factor that helped you guys, go from that to, I know that you guys have done Coachella multiple times, done big festivals. You're in the scene, you're in, the LA scene. What was cause there's people that, sell food, and then there's people that create a culture, a feeling and energy, what is that for you?
I think the creating the culture stemmed from me originally looking for this person that was going to show me the way. And in my journey of finding my own way, I was able to slowly find my voice, and Candace's, like, I think it was just really being authentic, right? Like our style, our aesthetic preferences to the branding, the colors, the food, the message behind the food.
Right.
At that time, veganism was really like at the forefront of like health.
Got it.
And conversations in health. And so people were exploring that lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it was, we kind of just caught this wave and rode it. You know, we got lucky, I think. We were lucky to be in the right place at the right time. And that we were being authentic in our voice, and people could feel that, taste that, and, you know, see that. So, yeah, creating that culture even out just for the people outside of it, but also not only for the people outside of it, but for the people inside of it, you know, like how can Candace and I be that person that we were like seeking, you know, like how can I be a more compassionate business owner? How can I like run a heart, you know, led business first and lead with that instead of the opposite, right? Like spending more on a compostable plate or dish. Like we're not all about profit. We weren't all about profit, I think. And it was more about doing the best we could, you know? And yeah.
So touching on that, there's the, you know, that side of like, you know, business side, right? And then there's the wanting to make sure that we're representing ourselves in an authentic way, in the way that we believe. How do you find like a balance with that? Like throughout, like what were some of the struggles that you know, because it is a business at the end of the day, it you know, businesses are for profit, but then there's also a, you know, your heart and your balance, you know, balancing that. So how did you like approach that? How did you find that?
Well, I think I'm still like currently finding that, you know. I think that, well, I'll say that I trust, and I have a knowing now that if I'm doing right by others, and I'm being true to myself, then everything falls into place how it's supposed to. Yeah. I've met so many amazing people, so many people who've put their heart, sweat, blood, like into our business and helping us push our dream further. Right. It's unimaginable. So it's like, how did I get so lucky to have all these amazing people in our lives? Like, and I think we've like built a family almost. Like it's not really, it's an extended family of all these amazing people. And I think that's also one of the double-edged, what's the term? The double-edged sword. Yeah. Where it's like you build so many close friendships with people, and then you also have to run this business where like, so it's like juggling that, because that's been a difficult thing for me, because like I love these people. I care about them. I care about their well-being, and I'm like, I want to create something, a platform for everyone to elevate. But if this platform, you know, it is what it is. It's a food business, and like there's only so far we can all go with the food business. You know? Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm limiting it, but for some reason, I feel like all these people got brought into my life, maybe not just to do this food thing, but it's like, hey, we've proven year after year, like we can do these big, hard festivals and tasks together. It's like, so how can we all use our skills, or like create something new? Maybe like someone else has an idea that we can help, help incubate
Right.
or encourage. And yeah, that's the goal, man. It's like I think that's why we have so many amazing people in our lives, because it's like we're not just there to suck the life out of everyone and like squeeze every last uh bit of life they
Right.
have so that I can like fill my pockets, you know? Like
Mm.
I really am not looking to fill my pockets with I mean, I'll reframe that because I do want to have full pockets, but I also don't want that to be
Beef. Mm.
the in the detriment to
To
someone.
yeah,
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. You want it to be a win-win.
Yeah,
You
it
want to
has
have
to be a
win-win
win-win.
situations. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So okay, so then what's like? I guess I'll ask one more question in regards to like the food industry, because it's something that I was thinking about for the people that are watching, maybe looking to enter this industry. You know, looking back to when you first started, what were some of the things that you maybe give yourself as advice to get started in this industry?
Hmm. Okay, good question.
Yeah.
If I were to give myself advice, I would say enjoy, know that it's gonna be hard.
Hmm.
You have to enjoy what you do. You really have to love it. You have to love the people you're surrounding yourself with,
Yeah.
or it's just not going to last very long. And, or if it does last long, you're going to be suffering like throughout. You
Mm.
know, I would say make sure you enjoy it, make sure that you understand your business
Mm.
like inside and out,
Yeah.
which I'm still learning to this day. I'm still learning new things that I don't know about my own business, which is crazy.
It's unfolding.
Yeah. Do your homework.
Yeah.
Not everything is fun. There's gonna be like grindy days,
Mm.
and but if your like why is strong and your mission is strong, and
Mm-hmm.
like what's the purpose of this thing like that you're creating and putting out into the world, and if it's like something that you want to see in your reality, then it's worth creating. I would say, like, if it's something that you feel will make this place better, then
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
If it's just something to make money, it's not the industry to do that. There's so many better ways to make money
Sure.
in this world if that's what you're chasing.
Yeah.
This isn't that industry.
Yeah.
This is a passion based industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're essentially giving people, I mean, like food, you know, so it's like, or drinks, I guess, too, but like
Mm-hmm.
you're creating something, you're putting energy into this creation, and then they're eating it and they're consuming that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So now kind of jumping into the next phase, like I'm curious, like, you know, what are your next like ventures looking like? Like, what are some of the things that you're looking to create going forward? You know, because it's this like process of creation that we're like currently in together too. You know, so it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, what are some of the things that you know you've been thinking about, kind of working on, like ideas, people you're looking up to? Just let's open it up a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. Where am I at life? I guess is your question.
Well, we have
where am
like, for instance, like we have like, you know, Burning Man's this month, right?
I?
You know, we got things coming up.
Yeah.
Let's just say, okay, let me just be specific. Let's say, you know, you're at Burning Man. What's like one person that you would be like super stoked to meet, and why? Like someone that you maybe look up to right now.
Hmm. Oh, Aubrey Marcus is going to be out there.
Okay.
Aubrey Marcus actually. His last post was like, "I'm going dark. Just came out of this darkness retreat. Not going to be posting much on social media." Yeah, and he's like, "If you find me on like, if you want to find me, I'll be out on the playa." So
Really?
I like,
That's cool.
I was like, putting it out there, like, I wanna meet him. I want to bump into him
Yeah.
and hopefully cross paths, because I think what he's doing and what he is striving for in life is like similar to some of the things I want out of life, which is kind of where I'm at right now, which is for me, it's building the relationship with myself again, remembering who I am and forgetting all the things that people external things have told me
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
Through whatever modalities of healing, through breath work, through yoga, meditation, plant medicines. He's a person who's kind of taken that path of, and that's where I'm at right now. I want to build that relationship with myself,
Yeah.
pour back into my cup, do things that excite me,
Yeah.
that put me back in alignment and make me feel great, so that I can feel that energy and like radiate that energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say that's like a process of like breaking through like the fear, the unknown? Like, is that sort of
Yeah.
a line? Like, because I feel like, we've known each other. I mean, we go back a bit of time. I mean, we weren't
Yeah.
really close friends back in the day, but
Yeah.
now more so than ever. But, I noticed that, in the last maybe whatever many years, you haven't been super active on social media, but more recently, you're getting more active. Is that also part of that process? Like,
Yeah, breaking the fear
yeah,
of judgment, of self-judgment,
yeah.
of feeling fear to be my authentic self because of maybe not being accepted by or receiving love from people that, from outside sources. But
Right.
really, it's like I'm feeling way more love for myself than I have ever felt and more authentic and more like myself than I've ever felt.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter who sees it for me. It's just like, it's like kind of this diary where I just like create for the sake of creation so that I can like look at it and be like, oh, I like that about myself, or that's an interesting take. Like, I'm just like stream of consciousness, let it happen.
Right.
Don't even think twice, post it. And I'm just like, I like that, or I want to move towards more of that, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like in life you can, there's like a thing called like flow state, right? Where you're just, you can find it in work, you can find it like out and play, like you can find this flow state where you're you're not really thinking, you're just doing, and it's just flowing, right? I feel like social media, it can be difficult to find that flow state in social media, especially for someone that isn't used to maybe creating consistently or creating something in general. What do you think would be like the first steps into finding a flow state, like integrating that into life? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I guess it's like, it starts with not judging yourself, not caring what comes out, and not get worried about what other people might think of you.
Right.
That it comes out, because whatever comes out and if it's steeped in truth and your essence, then that's you, and you shouldn't really be afraid of. It's because you shouldn't be afraid of judgment, because the people who judge you weren't supposed to be in your life anyways. And the people that resonate with your essence and your being and your message are the ones that are going to gravitate towards you and like co-create in this reality together with you.
Yeah.
And those are the people that are supposed to be in our lives, the people that vibe with us.
Right.
So if we like show what our vibration is, show who we are,
right,
it's really like a calling signal out into this space and ether, whether it's social media or a daily conversation.
Right.
Show yourself, like, and like be vulnerable, be naked, be like real, and that's gonna just attract realness back, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people out there just not maybe knowing who they are necessarily, right? They're like, well, I don't know like exactly who I am. I'm trying to discover that. And that alone might just hold them back from trying to just, talk to people or kind of breaking out of their shell. And I know I think we're both very similar. Like, we have this side of us that can be extroverted and we can chat with people. But in your perspective, like, what do you think that essence is? And like, how could someone that is maybe struggling to do that, like, slowly get that I don't know, build that confidence in themselves to, break out of that shell.
How to build confidence to
Sort of.
be in your most authentic form.
Yeah.
That takes some work to, and some time to contemplate, like especially alone. Taking time for yourself alone to hear your own intuition, your own voice, or maybe, if we're getting into like a more spiritual, thing, it's like, what is the intuition that's like deciphering and discerning between this voice that's telling us this is who I should be so that people will like me, or is this a voice that's saying this is who I am no matter if someone likes me or not.
Right.
Taking time to yourself, really figuring out what brings you joy.
Yeah.
Really figuring out those things, I think that's how we met. Like,
right.
I was trying to figure out what brings me joy and what I wanted to put more attention into. Through mutual friends, I saw that, wow, this is a dude who's doing those things that brings him joy. At least I didn't know for sure, but I wanted to find out.
Right.
I was like, it looks like this guy is really going after it, really having a fun time in life. So let me get closer to that so that I can discover that. So if you recognize in others something maybe that you want to do, like, don't be afraid to talk to them.
Yeah.
Ask about, reach out.
Yeah.
Join communities that excite you, whether it's like a fitness community, a spiritual community, any kind of community. Just get closer to the people that you want to be around and that you want to become.
Yeah. That's a great answer. Yeah, I think about it, at least from the perspective of like day to day. It's like, what are we doing constantly? We're all on our phones. Like I had a thought the other day where I was like, why have I been on my phone like in my bed? Like why am I like watching like a reel or something, like when I was younger, I would lay in my bed and like, I would think about the day, I would think about, oh, this, I had this interaction with this girl, or I had this thought about doing this thing, or blah, 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 whatever. And then things seem to like find order, and then maybe through that process and like going to sleep on it and waking up, and it like freshens that. But now it's like, I'm sure most people are just falling asleep to their phones, like, because I've done it. I've been in that cycle.
Same. Still, even.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So it's like, and this is only something that's really occurred in like the last decade, because you really didn't have that. I mean, there was TVs and stuff, so I guess you could fall asleep to the TV. But
sure,
it's definitely something that I've been thinking about. And like, what are like, outside of that, like, what are some other tools that you think that could help, I don't know, break free of that sort of Instagram, TikTok brain type of thing,
Yeah. As you talk about that, I'm guilty of that too. I'm not perfect, like, hi, I'm Philip, and I'm guilty of death scrolling. It's I guess it's recognizing like the intention behind the use. Why are we doing that? It's maybe there's like this hole inside of us that's not fulfilled, that we're trying to fill, and we're just scrolling to get that spark of inspiration, or see something that's going to make us happy, and we get that little dopamine release. And there's studies that show it's like, dude, that thing it's freaking, it's a trap, bro. It's a trap.
It's a trap. Sure.
It's tough. Let me just say too, it's scary, because as I'm getting closer to my own, I'm getting a little more sensitive to my own physical responses, and just being a little bit more aware of what's happening in my mind, in my heart, behind the scene. And like, sometimes I'll scroll, and sometimes it's like there's ads, it's like this force feeding, and sometimes you'll scroll and you'll see something that activates a response that you weren't like prepared for. You don't have this shield. Like, you're not protected from these things, from these human responses. Like, I'll be honest, like, sometimes you're scrolling and you see like a half naked woman on there, and it's like,
oh, yep.
you know what I mean? And you're like, boom, like your body goes into like shock for me almost, because I'm like, I didn't want to see that. I did not give permission for that thing to come into my field of awareness, especially like I have a beautiful fiance. Like, I don't want like temptation or like these feelings of guilt and shame to pop up. I'm like, whoa, like I didn't like, now I feel shitty, you know, like, but I didn't ask for that. I'm just like, you don't even know. It's like a slot machine. You don't even know what's coming up next. Like, it's scary, bro. It's like really, going back to what's the question? What's the question
was like, what are some of the tools that like outside of, you know?
Man, I guess one of the tools is like, I would say for me recently, the trap of like scrolling endlessly is usually like I have a lot of energy at the end of the night that I didn't expend. And it's like this way of justifying like that I'm like doing something, and like I'll even stay up super late like scrolling, like because I felt like very unproductive in the day. So it's like making up in my mind. I'm like making up for the unproductivity by like whatever being on
doing
social,
something,
and it's definitely helped to start my day a lot earlier and just fill it with things that make me happy, make me like physical. Like, I'm a person who just needs a lot of physical activity. If I'm not, I'm like a dog. I was telling Candace, it's like if I don't do physical activity, I will get sad and depressed and like in a dark headspace. So if I fill myself up with all these activities throughout the day, read, you know, balance it, read, do my work, do like, then at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I'm like tired at 10 o'clock and I will just crash. And I don't even want my phone. Turn it on airplane mode. Don't want Wi-Fi, like radiation in my room. Like, just like, okay. So to answer your question, I think filling it up with things that make you happy, which will in turn
man.
Get you into the normal cycle.
So finding the like the different, you know, physical activity. I saw like a post of you guys on like in a cold plunge. You guys have been doing the cold plunge. How's that been for you guys?
Oh man, it's hard. It's hard. You know, and social media is a great tool too to see what other people are doing, and other people that you might want to aspire to be like are doing, right? Like you see all the high performers. I'm not going to name them all, but you see people like doing the breath work, doing the cold plunge. So I'm like, let's try it out. Let's try everything that I like see successful people doing. And like, why not? Like, I've tried my way. It's gotten me this far and I'm grateful, but like, I want to keep progressing and evolving and becoming a better version of myself. So let's try all these difficult, hard things, get uncomfortable. So the cold plunging has been hard, even with the tools in my tool belts of like, you know, meditating, breath work, not attaching to the sensations of pain, which is a practice Candace and I learned in Vipassana. I did it one Vipassana. It was a 10-day silent retreat. Where the focus was like non-attachment to sensation. And so even with all those tools, the cold it's vicious. It strangles any doubt and weakness, and like you just get put in this pressure cooker of pain and doubt and like all the emotions that you've been suppressing and that you've been kind of like putting under the rug, that you like, oh no, I'm good. I learned those lessons already. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And it keeps you honest, dude. At least that's what I think is, it really keeps you honest, because you're your mind is strong. It's it can trick you. It can tell you like, whatever you think you need to hear to operate. But you jump into that cold, bro. Like, you can't lie.
Yeah, everyone's level in that point. Were you all getting that thing? We're all freezing cold. It doesn't matter who you are, Like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, that's so funny. Yeah, I've been using the cold plunge here and there. I have one in my place, and yeah, it's just like you said, it keeps you honest for sure. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do it, but then you do it, and then you get out, and you're like, wow, I'm so glad I did that. But like sometimes I'll stand there and be like 5 minutes. I'm like, I need to just get in there, because the longer you wait, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, just put on some music. Like for me, it's like put on some music and just hop in. Man, that's cool. So, okay, you got Burning Man coming up. I was supposed to go to Burning Man, but unfortunately, I'm not going because we went to Lightning in a Bottle, and I got valley fever, which was unfortunate, but that set me back a little bit. And it's something that for you guys that don't know, valley fever is basically a fungal infection that you can inhale from the dirt, and so that proliferates, especially if you have like an immune system that's weakened, and it affects the lungs. So that's where I'm at. I'm healing now. Luckily, I found out that it was valley fever and I could take the right medication. But we have, obviously there's tons of other fun festivals coming up and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, I feel like I've asked you a lot of questions. Is there anything, you want to run by me, or like, how are you feeling?
Wow.
I want to open it up for you.
Cool. Questions do I have for you? I feel like I just know you so well because we are like each other, and we talk often. So it's tough to like pull a question out. Maybe.
I would say so kind of going back to the getting the valley fever. I'll just jump in, and maybe this will open up some conversation here. But
yeah,
after getting the valley fever, and this is kind of like it's this
almost
whole
dying.
Yeah. So there's this. I had this experience. It was first getting diagnosed with the wrong thing, right? So I come back. I feel sick. I'm like, okay, it's maybe just like some bronchitis. I get kind of a little bit better. It comes back. So I'm going through waves. I get sick again, and I get to a point where I start to feel pain, and I'm like, I need to figure this thing out. So I start reaching out to a friend that's a doctor. We try different things. We both thought it was pneumonia. I go to an ER. They thought it was pneumonia, so they got me on. I've taken like multiple antibiotics at this point. And at this point, like after the second round of antibiotics, I am feeling so like, when we talk about mental health issues, like I've never been one to like be like, oh yeah, like depression and da-da-da. Like I knew it was kind of the thing, but I've never experienced it to like an extent that I felt, I guess, going through it. And it really like set me back in this way that I know that I felt like I didn't really want to reach out to anyone. I didn't really know how to ask for help. And at the same time, having this feeling of like feeling bad for myself. Like I feel like someone should reach out to me, or like there's this like these like dichotomy, like paradox almost of like, these feelings, whatever. And like, that sounds really weak or whatever, maybe from like just general public, but that's what I was going through. And from me being able to be in that experience and feel that and be like, oh wow, like getting out of it, going back and be like, wow, people might be experiencing these type of mental health issues. Like I experienced it through getting sick, and physically, like my body was, feeling toasted basically. But there might be people out there that are experiencing this kind of level of depression, anxiety, whatever the terms might be, but just like almost like reclusive and not knowing how to reach out for help. So that's what kind of sparked for me, like, okay, I need to like at least open up the conversation here, because people like in that state of mind, I didn't want to ask for help. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't, I felt like someone should come to me or something, So maybe through this experience through this podcast, through our conversations, whatever, we can maybe reach some of these people that are feeling that way, and like giving them a channel to open up, to reach out and be like, hey, look, like, you're on the internet, we don't know you, but we're here, and like, if you want to reach out, like, Phil's here, I'm here, like, reach out, you know what I mean? Like, we're we understand like what that feels like, to feel that kind of, we've been in low places, so
Absolutely.
And we're just both trying to figure out like the tools that we're trying to figure out. Like, that's why I'm asking. It's like, what are some of these tools that we can, do to like feel better, just to feel better. Like, the day just feels better. Like, I just have this little pep in my step, like I feel like I want to call my friend and just tell him what I did today, 'cause it was fun. Like, and so for me, like this, like that specifically was like, okay, like, you have fun, like, if you have vices, like, okay, cool. Like, go enjoy yourself a little bit, whatever. But for me, it's like overdoing it, like, in the eyes of like the higher power, whatever, universe, God, Jesus or whatever. I think the sign for me was slow down a little bit. Like, you don't have to go so hard like all the time. Like, there's times to go hard and there's time to draw back a little bit, and like be like moderation, like, I'm the type of personality that might not always know that, but through this process, it was like, okay, cool. Like, take a step back, look at your health. Like, you were a healthy dude and you still got clapped. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, you know what I mean? I got, I mean, so now it's like, all right, this is an opportunity to like reflect and to maybe like start digging into some of these tools, and maybe focus on one or two of these and just kind of work towards that. So, it's been like, I lost like a bit of weight through this process. And so now I'm trying to gain some of that back, hit the gym, just simple things like, hitting the gym, hitting the weights, like, like, it's not that difficult, and so now it's like, we're sort of on that journey. And I think, between the both of us, we want to go and experience, all the different things, like, going to a retreat, like similar to like Wim Hof, or, different things, just go and try stuff. Right. So, I think that's where we're at. I think we might have some cool content for that at some point, but yeah, I think you guys, it's just about like taking care of yourself. You're not anyone, like, not everyone's just going to reach out to you all the time. It's unfortunate that, like, hopefully you have some good friends that will, but like sometimes even there, it's just like, you have to like step up and just humble yourself and just reach out, because in that process, I had friends there. I had people that I could reach out to. I just didn't feel in the midst of it. It's like, it's difficult, but that's where you step up and you go, okay, let me give them a call. Let them know, like, hey, I'm struggling. I need help. Like, can you bring soup over? Like, it's the little things, so, but it was a humbling experience for me. And I'm just happy to be on the other side of it now, you know? But yeah, if you're going to Lightning a Bottle, or, somewhere in the central California, Arizona region, just know that valley fever exists, and just, maybe wear a mask or something, just be aware of it. It's a serious thing. Like, there's people that die from it. So, just, so
take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Respect it. Respect this vessel that's allowing us to experience life and all the joys and pains and all the entire spectrum of emotion. And just be grateful that we get to wake up every day and do this thing.
100%.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you hopping on with me, bro. This is a good one, bro. I appreciate it. Yeah. And like I said, we might have some cool stuff cooking up in the near future. So, appreciate you guys' time. Thanks for hopping on. Is there anything else that you want to? Where can they find you on social media? I totally forgot this. Where can they find you, buddy?
Right now, I'm most active on my Instagram.
Okay.
It's just me being myself. It's me. You get to see what I do to fill my cup. And the Instagram handle is full, FULL, filled, PHILD _ fulfilled.
Cool.
And it's just me being me. It's nothing crazy, but if you're interested in connecting, reaching out, like, I'm here for I'm here to talk. I'm here to listen, to hold space. I am looking to start some sort of men's group.
Yeah.
To do exactly that. Just to like make each other better.
Yeah. Create a community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Help each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome, bro. Appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys so much. Cheers. Action.